I'd ask everybody to rise for a moment of silence. Please be seated. As I call this meeting of council to order, I would ask, are there any declarations of pecuniary interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act? Councillor Kiefer.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
The internet's gone.
I'm trying, Carl. Really, I am.
It's okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's item number 4. I have to declare my son is the president of the Cambridge Social Planning Council. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Clark.
I need to declare an indirect pecuniary conflict of interest due to my employment with the YWCA. The closed committee of last week.
So that's the closed committee, January 29th? Okay. Seeing no others, do we have any presentations? I see we have a delegation registered. Kevin Thomason. Welcome, Kevin. You have 10 minutes, 5 minutes. If you really hurry.
That's right. Yeah, let's make a deal. Excellent. Honorable Chair, Mayors, members of Council and guests. My name is Kevin Thomason and I'm the owner of 1115 Cedar Grove Road, Waterloo, and I'm presenting tonight in my capacity as Vice Chair of the Grand River Environmental Network. And we support this excellent staff report approved last week at Planning and Works, responding to the province's consultation on increasing the housing supply in Ontario. Over the past 2 months, in an unprecedented effort, dozens of diverse community groups collaborated with thousands of citizens across Ontario to oppose Bill 66. Specifically, the totally inappropriate development targeting farmland, natural areas, and green space without any public consultation, engagement, notice, or ability to appeal, and completely exempting essential safety regulations such as the Clean Water Act, the Great Lakes Protection Act, the Greenbelt Act, and many others, all under the guise of cutting red tape for business. Much of Bill 66 was a red herring, though, as our economy is already strong, businesses are booming, and most communities have years' worth of development lands already designated. It was very concerning to see the misinformation and misleading nature of Bill 66 by the province. The current provincial government seems to repeat consistent themes and notions that too often are not supported by any data and seem to be pandering to developers or specific industries at the expense of common citizens, farmers, or other less influential groups such as students. It is excellent to see this regional staff report calling out similar misrepresentations, erroneous assumptions, and concerns in this provincial housing supply consultation. It appears to be an exercise to justify very concerning changes for the proposed growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe. Changes to ease regulations for developers that will increase urban sprawl, reduce intensification, make public transit more difficult, increase land speculation, target our farmland, as well as natural resources for more development with less consultation, checks, and balances, moving us in the exact opposite direction that we need to be going to address global climate change. Initial reviews have just released proposed amendments to the growth plan equate it to moving us back to the 1970s in terms of community planning. As densities are decreased, settlement boundary expansions are facilitated without even the need for data, and urban sprawl is encouraged in the misguided belief that it will reduce house prices. Yet, we all increasingly understand the true costs of urban sprawl, be it commute times, obesity, soaring infrastructure costs, and global climate change. We have a balanced, adequate supply of housing here in Waterloo Region, as this staff report notes. New multi-million-dollar monster home subdivisions atop the Greenbelt, far from transit, are not going to address the current needs for walkable, transit-supported neighborhoods close to employment, schools, and amenities. As this regional report accurately calls the province out on, land supply is not the primary factor fueling house prices. Interest rates, globalization, employment trends, speculation, and many other issues affect housing affordability and need to be considered. This staff report also correctly cites the need to ensure a diverse range of housing options, second units, affordable housing, not simply identical single-detached greenfield homes that maximize developers' profits. The Waterloo region has led with the ION LRT, redevelopment of our core areas, creating walkable, desirable mixed-use neighborhoods that are attracting leading companies from around the world. We are showing the rest of the province how it should be done, and it is our planning practices that need to be adopted, not threatened, overridden, and destroyed. This staff report accurately calls out the province's erroneous assumption that development charges are too high and need to be reduced to make housing affordable. It is so important that growth pays for growth, and existing residents living in efficient urban neighborhoods aren't forced to subsidize and pay for inefficient suburban sprawl where high development costs are not properly passed on to purchasers. Lowering development charges will not reduce the price of housing. It will simply shift costs unfairly onto others and undo decades of efforts to better guide sustainable development by ensuring that at least some of the true costs are being passed on to the purchasers. In conclusion, this regional report is excellent and cites many other good points about the need to create affordable secondary units, more affordable rental units, how net zero homes and more sustainable building practices can help to dramatically lower the costs of living in the years ahead. There is a genuine concern that the province is going to undertake actions in the weeks and months ahead that will continue to undermine the good planning and the resulting great quality of life and success that we enjoy here in Waterloo Region. Be it trying to remove essential safety regulations, eliminate development charges, weaken settlement boundaries, target farmland, reduce required densities to facilitate more suburban sprawl, or even eliminate the region altogether. There is so much that we are concerned about. We hope that our regional and local governments will continue to speak up loudly, stay the course, and lead by example. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Thomason. I don't see anybody with a question, but I want to thank you for your thoughtful presentation and let you know that we too share concerns about what happens with development charges. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you, and keep up the great work.
Thank you. The next delegation has withdrawn. Kate Daly was going to come, but she has sent in a written submission that all of council members should have received. Next, I have Gail Gilbert. Oh, Gail left? Okay. Another delegation who's registered is Mark Reusser, Vice President, Waterloo Federation of Agriculture, Places to Grow. Welcome. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mark Reusser, and I farm in Wilmot Township near New Dundee. I am presenting today in my capacity as Vice President of the Waterloo Federation of Agriculture. I am also Vice President of the Ontario Federation of Agriculture, representing 37,000 farmers in Ontario. My primary reasons for being here tonight are to support the region's staff report responding to the province's consultation on increasing housing supply in Ontario, and to encourage you, both elected and staff, to plan well, protect what is good, and to continue to set an example for the rest of Ontario. As I speak, you are welcome to view the slideshow of about 70 farms in Waterloo Region, all located within one concession of the Countryside Line. Note the millions of dollars in investment in barns and infrastructure on farms so close to the city. Investment that has occurred because of the certainty of a firm urban boundary. Farmers are business people. We don't invest when there's not certainty. We live in a special place here in Waterloo. It is arguably the most innovative, dynamic, and prosperous urban municipality in Ontario, if not Canada. At the same time, surrounding the urban footprint is one of the most fertile, productive, and prosperous agricultural communities in Ontario. A culture of good planning, countryside lines, the protected countryside designation, environmentally sensitive landscapes, an innovative official plan, and densities that surpass provincial targets all contribute to the region's success. If Waterloo's planning regime is responsible for our unique position as a leader in Ontario, we question why the province thinks that it can replicate Waterloo's success in other municipalities by enacting policies that are contrary to what we have here in Waterloo. Waterloo's official plan should be the template for good planning, farmland protection, and prosperity in municipalities throughout Ontario. Good planning and increased densities protect farmland. Decreased density targets do not. If in the cities of Waterloo, Kitchener, and Cambridge, if they had the same urban densities as cities such as Atlanta, Dallas, or Orlando, our urban footprint here in Waterloo Region would cover all of North Dumfries Township, all of Wilmot, all of Willitch, all of Wellesley, and 2 additional townships besides. That's how good we have been in protecting farmland. There would be no farmland left in Waterloo Region if we didn't have good planning. Only 5% of Ontario's land mass is suitable for agriculture. There is value in preserving the farmland that sustains us through good and careful planning. The government's current proposals will not only result in the loss of farmland, they will also serve to deny families a true choice of where to live. Today in Ontario, less so of course in Waterloo Region, the default location to live is almost always in new suburbs because it's cheaper. Cheaper only because development charges rarely cover the real costs of servicing and because the long-term costs of providing services, such as transportation, are not taken into account. If the government really wants to save farmland, give people a real choice as to where to live and build livable and prosperous communities. Permit the setting of development charges that account for long-term costs of providing services. Increase density targets to preserve both farmland and the environment. Enact policies that ensure that density targets are met or exceeded. Promote policies that entice more people to live in higher density locations, thus making it unnecessary to expand urban boundaries. Remove and reduce red tape involved in densifying development in the appropriate locations within the urban footprint. And finally, support and enable municipalities to adopt official plans that enable affordable, appropriate, high-density home ownership options with all the amenities within a complete urban community inside the urban footprint. In conclusion, I'd like to thank the staff for the excellent report and thank you all for what you do. You are an example to the province. Don't forget that we aren't perfect. We can always improve, set the bar high. Continue to plan well and be a template for prosperity for municipalities in Ontario. Be courageous as you make tough and difficult choices. Continue to hire only the best people. Continue to cultivate a culture of good planning. Never stop speaking forcefully, credibly, and eloquently to those in power. And finally, remember there is only one landscape, and that people, the natural environment, and agriculture all have to share it. Thank you for your work.
Thank you very much, Mr. Reeser. I don't see any questions, but certainly do appreciate your thoughtful intervention. Thank you very much. We're now going to move on to the minutes of previous meetings, and I'm going to take out E. That is the one that Councillor Clark had a conflict with, and ask if somebody would be prepared to move them. Moved by Councillor Jaworski, seconded by Councillor Armstrong. So that's everything under 7 except E. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Is somebody prepared to move the closed minutes of January 29th? Moved by Councillor Urbanovic, seconded by Councillor Shantz. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. Communications, there is a council information package Friday the 1st. It was distributed electronically. Anyone have any questions about that? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to go into the Committee of the Whole to consider reports. Moved by Councillor Armstrong, seconded by Councillor Strickland. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. The first report we are considering is financial report, Northern and Southern LFG header and MH1A sanitary upgrades, former Kitchener landfill, region of Waterloo. There's a recommendation. Moved by Councillor Strickland, seconded by Councillor Erb. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Second recommendation is Student Choice Initiative. Recommendation of the request the Ministry of Training and Colleges deem universal transit passes as mandatory student fees. This involves the arrangement we have with both universities and the community college. Moved by Councillor Clark, seconded by Councillor Urbanovic. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Move to the committee reports, and I would ask Councillor Strickland if he would like to move the budget motions that are attached. Oh. Sorry.
It's okay. Yes, Madam Chair. We have several that I'm just trying to get into order here. From the regular agenda, two recommendations. The first one dealing with amendments to the capital budget with amendments to the operating budget and capital program with respect to Municipal Property Assessment Corporation, the operating budget for housing services, and amendments to the capital program for the airport. And the second one is with respect to approving a one-time funding of $244,000 for the Cambridge Shelter Corporation, the bridges, to help with overflow for the homeless this winter.
I'm just holding off here because I have a quizzical look from Mr. Dyer. Mr. Dyers, are there any comments that you want to make or before we deal with this motion?
Yep. Yeah, pardon the inconvenience, Madam Chair. I think those the resolutions regarding MPAC and I think it was the housing budget and the airport capital program, I think should wait and be approved on February 19th when the tax-supported budget is approved.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Dyer, similarly, recommendation number 2 says that it be referred to Budget Committee for consideration with respect to the overflow funding for the homeless. So should we refer that to the Budget Committee meeting as well?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. So both of those recommendations are referrals to Budget Day on February 19th. So if we can have I'll move those, and then I have 2 others from Budget Committee today.
So those 2 are moved for referral?
Yeah.
Only? Those are moved. Is there somebody to second those? Moved by Councillor Armstrong. All those in favor? That's carried. That will be referred. Do you have another motion, Councillor Strickland?
Setting the user rates for 2019 that came out of Budget Committee today. That were circulated with our consolidated agenda. One is for water supply and one is for wastewater treatment for the region, and that is the amounts that we charge the municipalities for water supply and treatment. So I would move those. That's number 1. Then the second one also, we'll do them at the same time, I guess, just like a committee. The second one is with respect to the water distribution and wastewater collection rates for customers in the townships of Wellesley and North Dumfries.
So you're moving both of those?
I'll move both.
Seconder? Councillor Clark? Any discussion? All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Councillor Foxton, Planning and Works.
Thank you. I'd like to bring forth the 7 recommendations in our report, as well as the January 29th closed meeting in regards to the purchase agreement between Waterloo, the region, and Waterloo District School Board, and also the Planning and Works February 6th Region of Waterloo approval to enter in a settlement agreement with King Street in Cambridge.
So you're moving
the 7 in the report, and the 1 issue on January 29th in the closed session, which is the purchase with the Waterloo District School Board, and also the February 6th closed session with the King Street, Fountain Street.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Foxton, seconded by Councillor McGarry. Any discussion? All those in favor? That is carried. Finance and Administration, Councillor Strickland, back to you.
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to move, I believe it's 4 recommendations from Admin and Finance. The first one dealing with write-offs for 2018. The second one with contributions to Federation of Canadian Municipalities. The third one is also with respect to the Federation of Canadian Municipalities and their Special Advocacy Fund. And finally, updated terms of reference for the audit committee. I so move, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Strickland, seconded by Councillor Pravanovich. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Community and Social Services, Councillor Clark.
I'd like to move the 5 recommendations from Community and Community Services Committee, being the interest-free loan to Rokai for urgent capital repairs to housing stock. The second is the actions required to meet the terms of funding for the federal Reaching Home program. The third being our feedback to the province on the proposed changes to the Child Care and Early Years Act as contained in Bill 66. The fourth is the request for funding from the Social Development Centre of Cambridge and North Dumfries. And the fifth is the regional development charges for the construction of affordable rental housing and Habitat for Humanity projects.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Clark, seconded by Councillor Johnson. I would just reiterate, Councillor Kiefer has declared a conflict in this. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Back to Councillor Strickland. Or did you move the summary from today, Sean?
Didn't I do that already?
I think you did that already.
Yeah.
You skipped ahead.
Thank you, because I put all my papers away.
All right. Good man. So this is where I shock and amaze our CAO. Mr. Murray, do you have anything you'd like to add? No? Gird your loins. Someday he'll have something to say. Next is the appointment to Sunnyside Foundation Board. There's a recommendation before you that we appoint Spencer Ewell and Sarah Thompson to Sunnyside Foundation Board for a term to expire June 30th, 2022. I would ask for a mover. Moved by Councillor Jowett, seconded by Councillor Armstrong. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Any other matters to consider under Committee of the Whole? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion for the Committee of Whole to rise and Council to resume. Moved by Councillor Kiefer, seconded by Councillor Jaworski. All those in favor? That is carried. Motion to adopt proceedings of the Committee of the Whole. Moved by Councillor Armstrong, seconded by Councillor Erb. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. Any motions? Any notices of motions? Any unfinished business? Any additional business? Any questions? I'd entertain a motion to enact the bylaws first, second, and third readings. They're listed before you. Moved by Councillor Kiefer, seconded by Councillor Armstrong. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? And now the motion you've all been waiting for. I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Foxton, seconded by Councillor Jaworski. All those in favor? Thank you for a productive and long day.